These are the hulls that lure buyers with a rock-bottom price tag, but hide fatal flaws, uninsurable materials, rot, rust, or catastrophic design defects. Across owner-built disasters, famous name nightmares, and salvage yard specials, every entry on this list reveals just how quickly a bargain can turn into a debt spiral you cannot escape. Which boats are the fastest way to sink your net worth? Let's begin with number 10. A 45-foot Ferro-cement ketch sits on a classified ad for $8,000. It promises blue water dreams and a hull that is bulletproof concrete. The reality is buried deep inside the shell. These boats were built in backyards and cornfields in the 1970s, using steel rebar cages slathered in cement. Salt water finds every micro crack. The steel armature inside starts to rust, swelling and fracturing the hull from within. By the time you spot the cracks or spalling, the damage is already terminal. Insurance companies do not even bother with a survey. Ferro-cement is blacklisted. Marinas refuse berths, citing liability and the risk of catastrophic failure. When the dream finally dies, disposal is the final insult. In Pensacola, the owner of the Sea Gypsy paid nearly $15,000 just to have a demolition crew tear his 45-foot ferro ketch apart and haul it to the landfill. No one would take it for free. Less than 1% of these hulls are insured today. The moment you sign the papers, your deal becomes a liability. You cannot give away. You can only pay to destroy it. A free-to-a-good home wooden sloop from the 1950s looks like a rescue for romantics. The lines are classic, the stories are rich, and the ad says you can have her for nothing if you haul her away. But the real price is hidden in the grain. Decades of freshwater leaks, soft frames, and corroded bronze fasteners have turned the hull into a chemistry experiment. Every plank you touch crumbles, every seam leaks daylight. A proper restoration means hiring a shipwright at $120 an hour, not a weekend with a paintbrush. In Maine, Tom W. took on a 32-foot sloop, thinking he had found a legacy project. 18 months later, invoices from Brooklyn Boatyard totaled over $92,000 just for structural work. Framing alone cost $45,000. The final tally was 800 hours of labor and a drained retirement account. When the dust settled, the restored boat was worth less than $25,000 on the open market. Most free wooden boats wind up as compost or bonfire fodder. The only thing guaranteed is negative equity. A steel hull promises adventure. For $12,000, you are told it is ready for Antarctica. Tough, simple, built to survive anything. But the real story is hidden behind the plywood and foam. Most amateur steel boats were never sandblasted or epoxy-coated before insulation went in. That means condensation and salt air have been quietly eating the hull from the inside out. By the time you strip the interior, the steel plate, once a quarter-inch thick, can be pitted down to 1/16 of an inch. Surveyors cut inspection holes and find daylight. The repair math is brutal. A proper replating job runs over $20,000 in labor and materials, not counting yard time. No insurer will touch a hull with hidden rust. When the verdict lands, the only value left is scrap. A 12,000-pound hull might fetch $1,500 at the yard, minus the cost to haul it away. The dream ends with a receipt from the scrap dealer and a check that barely covers the tow truck. A 1976 Valiant 40 sits on the dock, listed for half the price of a new family sedan. The ad reads like a siren song, legendary Bob Perry design, proven blue water pedigree, ready to cross oceans. But the real story is in the hull laminate. From 1976 to 1981, Valiant's builder switched to a fire-retardant resin meant to improve safety, but chemically unstable when mixed with water. The result is what owners call the POX. Blisters do not just dot the bottom paint, they erupt across the hull, deck, and cabin sides, some as wide as a dinner plate, some running 10 inches or more. This is not cosmetic. The resin reacts with the glass fibers, breaking the structural bond inside the laminate. Surveyors open the hull and find entire layers separating, moisture trapped, strength lost. Broker memos and owners association records show a flood of lawsuits, resale values in free fall, and boats stranded in yards while owners debate whether to give up or gamble on repairs. The only real fix is brutal. Peel the hull down to the bare shell, dry it out, and rebuild every layer. Yard quotes for a full peel and re-glass on a 40-foot boat routinely land between $30,000 and $50,000. Even after the work, the stigma lingers. Surveyors and buyers know these hulls by year, and discounts can hit 60% if blisters are visible. The Valiant 40's reputation hides a financial time bomb, waiting for the next optimist who thinks they have found a blue water bargain. A Formosa 51 catches the eye with sweeping bows, carved dragons, and acres of teak that shimmer in the sun. 50 feet of pirate fantasy, listed at $40,000, less than the price of a new pickup. The ad promises adventure and old-world craftsmanship. What it hides is a double-barreled disaster, buried in the deck and deep in the bilge. Every inch of those gleaming teak planks is fastened through a plywood core. Decades of rain and salt water seep through the screw holes, turning the plywood into black, pulpy mush. Surveyors lift a corner and find rot spreading like mold, soft spots everywhere, the core collapsing underfoot. The only real fix is to rip up the entire deck, strip out the rotten core, and rebuild from bare fiberglass. Yard invoices for a full redeck land around $40,000, more than the boat's sticker price. But the pain does not stop topside. Down below, the original black iron fuel tanks are entombed in concrete, glassed into the bilge during construction. Years of condensation and salt have eaten them from the inside out. When the tanks finally fail, replacing them means cutting through the cabin sole, jackhammering the concrete, and squeezing new tanks into a space never meant for removal. Recent Florida yard bills show tank jobs at $15,000 and up, just for access and replacement. Add the deck and tank together, and that $40,000 Formosa becomes a $95,000 lesson in deferred maintenance. All the ornate teak in the world cannot hide repair math that doubles your investment before the first sale. The romance is real, but so is the invoice. A 1970s Bayliner 30 sits in the yard, listed for less than the cost of a used outboard. The promise is volume, big interior, a full galley, and a sticker price under $20,000. These boats were churned out by the thousands during the oil crisis, when resin prices spiked and speed trumped precision. Instead of hand-laid glass, builders armed chopper guns, machines that sprayed chopped fiberglass and resin in a quick, uneven coat. The result is a hull with thickness that swings wildly. Composite Lab ultrasound from 2023 shows panels averaging 0.18 inches, where the original spec called for half an inch. Some spots are even thinner. Flex tests hammer the point home, panels oil can under load, and tap tests reveal voids and weak bonds. Surveyors have flagged these hulls for inconsistent structure, not just cosmetic aging. The repair math is merciless. To bring a chopper gun hull back to spec, composite yards quote $40,000 or more for reinforcement and relamination, nearly double the average resale value, which hovers around $28,000 for a clean Bayliner 30. Even if you find one without visible cracks, the chemical life of the resin is running out. These hulls can still pass insurance if flawless, but the moment a surveyor finds flex or thin laminate, the boat's value collapses. The only thing cheaper than buying one is the cost of regret. A hurricane tears through the marina, and a $500,000 catamaran is left half submerged in the mud. 2 months later, it is up for auction for $100,000 with a salvage title, and the listing says it just needs fiberglass work. The dream is the discount, a luxury catamaran for the price of a new truck. But the paperwork tells a different story. The salvage title follows the boat forever. Any insurer or lender who sees it will flag the hull as a prior total loss. No agreed value, no full coverage, and sometimes no coverage at all. The real damage is not just the hull. Salt water floods the wiring, corrodes every sensor, and seeps into the engines. Pickled motors might run for a while, but tear-down invoices show the truth. A full engine rebuild or replacement on a catamaran routinely lands at $30,000 per side. Lisa R. I, Chachi, bought a Lagoon 440 after Hurricane Irma for $110,000. Over 2 years, she spent $25,000 rewiring the electrical system and $30,000 on engines that never ran right. Surveyors found shock fractures in the bulkheads, invisible at first glance but fatal to resale value. Every fix uncovers another ghost failure. Electronics glitch, batteries short, and the boat's systems become a money pit. When it comes time to sell, the salvage title kills the deal. Most banks will not finance it, and insurers hang up the phone. Lisa finally offloaded hers for $40,000 after pouring in $70,000. The salvage catamaran is the definition of negative equity, easy to buy, impossible to insure, and nearly worthless the moment you try to escape. On paper, a late 1970s cruiser with a balsa cord hull looks like a breakthrough, lighter, stiffer, and unsinkable. Brokers lean on that word. The price is low, $24,000 for a 38-foot hull that, in photos, gleams like a smart buy. But the flaw is invisible. Early cord hulls, especially those built before vacuum bagging, hide a sponge below the waterline. Every through-hull fitting, every grounding, every missed bedding job is a door for salt water. Once water finds the end grain of balsa, it spreads, quietly and relentlessly, through the core. Surveyors know the drill. Out comes the moisture meter, pressed against the hull from stem to stern. The needle swings into the red and stays there. Survey logs from 2023 show readings pegged at 35% or higher, well past the safe zone. Tap tests echo dull thuds, not the sharp ring of dry laminate. To an insurer or a yard, those numbers are a stop sign. The hull is delaminating, flowy, losing stiffness with every season. The repair math is brutal. A proper fix means hauling the boat, stripping the outer skin, digging out hundreds of square feet of wet balsa, and rebuilding the laminate layer by layer. Yard quotes for a full raccord on a 38-foot hull routinely land between $25,000 and $40,000. That is before you touch the interior, rig, or systems. Most of these boats, even in good shape, struggle to fetch $25,000 on the open market. Owners who try to sell end up fielding offers from buyers looking for parts, not a project. In the yard, the surveyor's meter pegs red as the bill mounts. The economics are simple. The cost to save the boat exceeds what it is worth. For most, the only way out is to walk away, or to pay to dispose of a hull that was supposed to be unsinkable. A one-off custom build appears on brokerage listings with a price tag that seems generous, $120,000 for a 44-foot cutter, described as unique world voyager built for a lifetime at sea. The listing lingers. 12 months pass, then 24 months. Price cuts come in waves, $120,000 to $98,000, $85,000, $74,000, finally $65,000 after 5 years. Each reduction is met with silence. The problem is not visible in the photos or the specs, it is in the paperwork. There is no brand pedigree, no production run, no engineering file. The builder is a retired engineer, the plans drawn on graph paper, the hull laid up in a rented shed. Buyers call, but every conversation ends with the same question: can I get it insured? The answer is almost always no. Underwriters flag the boat as a total unknown. There is no claims history, no standardized valuation, no construction record beyond a stack of handwritten notes. Broker emails show a trail of lender rejections, over 20 in a single year. One bank memo reads, "No comparable sales, collateral risk unquantifiable." Another from an insurer reads, "Declined due to unproven construction and lack of builder reputation." The carrying costs grind on. Dockage, storage, and annual maintenance eat through cash while the boat sits unsold. Brokers quietly admit these customs can freeze on the market for years, sometimes a decade, until the price drops to a level that attracts a cash buyer willing to gamble. In the meantime, the owner pays for a boat that has become a financial dead end. One broker sums it up: a one-off custom is like a work of art, beautiful, but try getting a bank or insurer to see it as anything but a liability. The result is not a sudden catastrophe. It is a slow bleed, permanent illiquidity with no exit except a fire sale. A Gemini or Prout catamaran, battered and sun-bleached, sits on the hard with a $30,000 sticker and the promise of sweat equity. The pitch is irresistible: double hulls, a bridge deck big enough for a family, and the myth that a little labor can turn a wreck into a world cruiser. But the reality is mapped in red by the surveyor's ultrasound. The bridge deck and main beams, the structural spine of the boat, show wide bands of delamination. Tap tests echo with dull thuds, and infrared scans reveal waterlogged core from years of leaks and pounding seas. The entire underwing flexes underfoot, a sign that the laminate has let go. Offshore, this is not just a comfort issue, it is a safety risk. Structural failure of the bridge deck or beam can mean catastrophic loss at sea. Composite repair shops know what comes next. A proper fix means propping the hulls, stripping out the interior, and cutting back hundreds of square feet of skin. Wet core is dug out, new foam or balsa is epoxied in, and every layer is vacuum bagged to aerospace specs. Engineering sign-off is mandatory. The repair quote lands between $70,000 and $100,000 before you touch the rig or systems. One specialist's bid lists $225 per square foot for cord panel replacement, plus $20,000 in yard time just to access the work. That is on top of the original $30,000 purchase. There is no shortcut. You can't patch or inject epoxy and hope for the best. Surveyors and insurers treat widespread delamination as a deal breaker. If you try to insure or finance a project cat with structural issues, the phone goes silent or the answer is a flat refusal. The resale market knows these hulls by reputation. A project catamaran with a delaminated bridge deck is not a bargain. It is a financial dead end. When the repair bill eclipses the value of the finished boat, the only rational exit is the chainsaw. The hard rule is simple: don't buy projects, buy a boat. If you can't afford a sound, insurable catamaran, you can't afford to own one at all. Sweat equity doesn't fix structural rot. In the world of cheap boats, the Project Cat is the ultimate financial suicide, dangerous, unsellable, and impossible to escape without writing a check that dwarfs the original dream. Across all 10 entries, one pattern holds. The true cost of a cheap boat is not what you pay to buy, it is what you will pay to escape. Today, uninsurable hulls are liabilities, not assets. In a tightening market, disposal costs crush more dreams than storms ever could. In boating, the bargain is often the bankruptcy. Think twice before chasing that deal. What is your best or worst boat buy story?